out to find everyday heroes to try and help us find our own hero in the mirror.
Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jimmy Brandmeier, and I think my superhero power is helping other people find their superhero power.
Oh, you are our guy.
And I'll tell you how I do that. And I have this little philosophy, and the philosophy is, you know, everybody has a superhero power, right? Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a thing. There's never been anybody born in the history of Earth whose place or superhero power wasn't born with them. So I use my superhero, I use my talent to serve. I use my superhero power to help people. So you may ask, to answer your first question, what's my talent? Well, I like to create things. I come from a family of really creative people. I studied music, and speaking of my family, there's one that's calling right now, who does TV shows, by the way. So I make music, I create music and produce music. I write books. Well, writing my first book, but I write and create videos and TV, things like that. And everything I create, I like to ask, how can I help with what I'm creating? How can I use my talents to serve? And the other thing I do is teach, because I believe that as I learn, I like teach. But you know what? As I teach, I learn, and that's a whole beautiful thing. So that way I can keep growing and growing and growing my superpower.
What's the hardest part about your job?
The hardest part right now, I'll tell you, well, right now I'm finishing a book. And the hardest part is also the greatest part. And I'll tell you what it is. There's two things you can do in music. There's two things you can do in, movies if you want to make movies or whatever you're trying to make. In music, you can make music, and then you can sell music. The hardest thing to do, and the greatest thing to do, is to create music, or that process of creation. Because you got to get in a quiet room, you've got to get all by yourself, and you have to listen to what the book or the song or the story or the poem wants to do. You know what they say? You're not thinking something up, you're taking something down. So the hardest part may be getting quiet, listening to, call it God, the universe, the source, whatever you want to call it, listening, asking what this thing wants to do, paying attention, and getting it down. So that's really hard, and I generally get up like at 3 o'clock in the morning to do it. And it's the hardest thing, but it's something I love more than anything. I just love it. And it's really, really fun. Not always easy, but fun. So once you make that, the next thing is selling it. And that has a bunch of problems all of its own. But so the hardest thing is coming up with an original idea. I had this company. It was called 180 Music. It was a record label targeted pretty much for adults and kind of stars that you wouldn't know about. Like, Kenny Loggins and Eric Clapton and Carole King, older stars, right? So we had a record label, and we had it was doing really great for a while. We were in all the Target stores and all the end caps. So we were in Japan and all over North America. It was really it was very, very exciting, and Oprah and all those TV shows and all the deals. And suddenly, kind of around 2009, the bottom started falling off, and the company lost tons of money, and I lost tons of money. So that's not very much fun, is it?
It sounds like a blast to me. I don't know.
Let's put together and go bankrupt. It's great. I didn't go bankrupt, but the company had to end, right? So when the company ended, it made me start thinking about everything. Everything. It was like 3 years ago. All right, so I'm not complaining. The company was fantastic. Even closing down, which was not fun. I learned so much through it, so I'm not complaining. And what it made me do, what failure made me do, was rethink about everything. There's an old saying that you're never going to have a great career. You'll fail to have a great career unless you fail to have a great career. In other words, you learn a lot from your failures. So there was a big, I don't even believe in failure, but the world calls that a failure. To me, it was a step ahead. So I was trying to figure out what the failure was teaching me. And every day I get up, do my 3 in the morning thing, and I would think about that, and I would say, all right, God, just give me some clarity. I just want some clarity. And the next thing you know, without much thought about it, I started writing this book. I thought I was writing the book for my daughters. I have 3 daughters, age 15, 17, and 19. And at the time, my first daughter was just about to be a freshman in college, and I wanted to write everything I thought before she went to college. So what happened was, I'm almost done with the book, thinking I'm writing for them, and I realized, oh, this is the answer to my prayer. I was praying for clarity. Everything I was telling them is something I needed to hear. So that's where the book came from. Is that kind of deep or too deep?
Oh, that is the best. And you know, it's such a great thing to hear about using a failure as actually to propel yourself forward. That's a great thing to remember.
I honestly, I embrace failure. The benefits of failure are incredible. And let me give you an example. Because I'm going to give you 3 magic words that I think will transform your life or later on. But you know, who read Harry Potter? By an author named J.K. Rowling. Now, J.K. Rowling, she says the biggest failure there ever was before she wrote the book. And she said the reason she was a failure was because she failed to be herself. When she went to college, her parents thought you shouldn't major in literature, there's no future in that. So she tried a bunch of different other things. She was being something other than who she was. So 7 years after college, she found herself divorced. She found herself bankrupt, on welfare, and 1 daughter, and she was at the very, very bottom. So she said to herself, I've got to quit pretending being somebody other than who I am. I'm going to use my failure, my bottom, as the foundation to build. And as she says, you're never so near the top as when you reach rock bottom. So what she did was, she quit pretending to be somebody else. It did what she was meant to do, and she started writing Harry Potter. 450 million books later, look what happened. And she said if she would have had a little bit of success and some money coming in for her daughter, she may have been too comfortable to write because it would have been too scary to quit. So if she didn't really fail, she would never have really succeeded. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you were, so you said that your superpower was to help others find their superpower.
Yes.
That seems like it could have been a bit hard to discover at first. Was there anything at first that you thought, was it something else that you thought your superpower was? Or?
Yeah, I always thought and still do, think my calling is music. My calling is being creative. My passion is music, right? See, I even play the flute. Look at this. I got it right here. See this? So I play the flute, right? I write songs. I play the guitar. Hello, everybody. We're playing the guitar now. Welcome to the 5th grade. So I'm passionate about music, and I always thought that, again, use your talent to serve. I'm going to use, if I write a song, I'm going to think of the person I know that song is going to help somebody. Even in my days, I used to live in Los Angeles, and I was writing jingles. Do you know what jingles are? Jingles are music for commercials, right? So I would write music for commercials, and some of them were pretty darn boring, right? But then I thought to myself, well, let's say I'll think of one. Dale's Auto Mart. I don't really care that much about Dale's Auto Mart, right? But Dale does, so I'm gonna use my power, my talent to serve and give it 5,000,000% into creating this jingle for him. You see what I'm saying? So even if you're cutting somebody's grass, give it 5,000,000,000%, use your talent to serve. Even if it's cutting grass, no matter what you do, and over-deliver. So my passion was always music, but I didn't really realize later on that part of my passion is teaching. And I can teach through music. I can teach through writing. I can help other people learn, use my life experience, kind of harvest my life experience to teach. It really, really gets me fired up. So I guess I've turned music from being just a passion and the main thing into being a tool for helping people find their superpower. Does that make sense?
From one teacher to another, you are an excellent teacher.
Oh.
Sure. You are. No question. Mrs. Thompson, do you have another one over there? Another question?
Krista?
What is your favorite instrument to play?
Oh, I think, I started out on the guitar. I love playing the guitar. And then I became a jazz flutist. And I really love those two. I really love that too. But I think my favorite thing is writing music, not just playing music. I love to write music. So I think that's probably my favorite thing.
Before we run out of time, I just want to follow up on one thing you said. You had said that you help other people find their superpowers, and we have, I don't know, a couple hundred kids that we're working with in 5th grade that are really working hard on trying to find their superpower. Do you have any suggestions? It's really difficult to find what that is.
Yeah, I have a couple suggestions. One is, don't try to force it out. Have faith and believe. Trust me. Believe me, you have a superpower. It doesn't have to be something with a career. It doesn't have to be something with, some big professional thing. It could be something as simple as, I have a great smile. I'm very cheerful all the time. That's a superpower, right? So don't force it. Let it unfold. You can't force a flower to grow. You can put the seed in the ground, right? You can water it to let the sunshine go, but you can't go, hurry up and grow. Come on, Rose, be a rose. Just live where you are right now. Don't force it. Let it flow, and it will come out. But I have something else to say, too. And it's kind of the title of my book. Magic words, they sound really, really simple. But I see a lot of people start out at your age. They're living up to these words and using these magic words. But as time goes on, maybe even 6th and 7th grade, I noticed my daughters, 7th graders, start getting they start losing their magic words. It's something that if you hold on to it, your superpower will unfold, it will grow, you will never, ever, ever lose it. It's impossible to lose these 3 magic words. Impossible. All you can really do is cover it up. It's like putting a dirty, smelly blanket on top of your iPod. The iPod still works, right? The music's still coming out, but the blanket's muddling it up. So how can you cover up your superpower? Well, one is peer pressure, right? You can cover up your peer pressure by letting somebody else, try to be somebody else's version of cool, all right? If you like music, there's certain music you like, but it's not cool to like this music, you're not using your superpower, right? If you're trying to smash your body into something the media is trying to give you, you're not using your superpower. So sometimes the media makes you lose your superpower.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.